y'all, it's Laura and welcome back to my go-to design series where we're going through each and every one of my go-to designs that I create foundations for my pages with. If you'd like to see the very first one explaining this whole series, I will link that at the very end of the video so that you can get caught up. There will be about 15 videos in this series and they'll be up every single Saturday for the next couple of months. So let's head over to the desk and see which go-to design we're doing today. Today's go-to design is the diagonal. And so I'm starting with a cut file here because I feel like this is the most common way that I see people use a diagonal design. Is the cut file will have a scattering of stars or hearts or circles or some other geometric pattern, and they go from one corner to another. This cut file was a full page cut file, and I cut off two sections and use them on two separate layouts to do two separate diagonal designs. In this one, I kept the center section as a diagonal design and tucked in my two photos here at the top with a title that really sticks to heavy embellishing around the photo itself to make sure that it remains the focus. And then added the small bits and pieces inside of the stars as I went along. This is what I did with the pieces I cut off. I created another diagonal design going the opposite direction. These are going in two different albums. This one's going in my oldest son's album. This will go in my youngest son's album. And this is not a full diagonal cut file. It's two sections that I've hidden the missing bit behind my photo. So it still has that nice flow. In this case, whereas I've gone with two tiny photos and a big title here, this time I've used a full 4x6 photo and kept the title here. So as you can see, even though they're using the same cut file and a similar design, they look extremely different. And I especially wanted to point these two in particular out to you guys to show you that you can make a similar design look completely different using different supplies, but these are even using the same collection. And so I think that's a bit of fun. I think that's something interesting that you can try out. Another way to do a diagonal design is this here. So this is actually not using a cut file. This is using some templates. So I created some circle templates in a variety of sizes from small up to large, and I used them to trace out some large circles and then used an X-Acto knife to cut them out. I also used a punch here and here to get some 1-inch circles. And then I did another smaller circle here and put sequins inside of those holes. How cool is that? Love this layout, it's just so fun. This is also a bit of a mix in with the strips, because just like we saw with the heart-shaped strips layout from last week's video, I've done strips behind my photos and filling in the gaps here. So even though I've backed this cut out, I've also used the strips. So I'm combining designs yet again. I've told you guys it's just something I like to do to mix it up and make it a little bit different. I do tend to stick to one theme with shapes though. So where I've started with circles, I tend to keep going with circles all the way through. And I really love that you can tuck things inside of the circles as well. This is really fun. With this one, I am not using any kind of a cut file or cutouts or anything like that. Instead, I've used a large hexagon punch. This does not belong here. It belongs there. There we go. I've used a large hexagon punch and then just pieced together a design in the background that goes from one corner to the other. I also have a 1-inch hexagon, so I use some of those to pop up some inside bits here, give it a little bit of lift and interest, but kept almost all of my embellishing right around the photos. This is one of the ways that I can get away with using a bunch of brightly colored papers that don't necessarily all go together, is that I keep my embellishing close to the photos so these don't distract from my photos. The other trick is to use one paper that touches every single one and has the incorporated colors. So this has yellow, it has the red, it has the blue and green. So that works really well to incorporate all of the colors on the layout, a little bit of black as well, just there. And that helps to make it all feel very cohesive. So now we're here, I've got two photos right in the center. For this one, I have one larger photo slightly up to one side. So where you place your photo can also switch up the design a little bit. This is another hexagon layout, of course, but this is using my 1-inch punch. And these, I don't know if I have a hexagon punch this size or if I cut these out of a pattern paper, but I do have some mixed media on this one. So I have a hexagon stencil. That's right, I used the stencil to cut these out. That's why they match so well. So these are mixed media hexagons that I used the stencil to create. And then I used the same stencil to cut out some hexagons to puzzle in amidst those mixed media ones. And then the smaller ones are just accents. My title, it comes with a little arrow pointing straight at my photo. And of course, my husband stands out quite a lot on this page because there's very minimal embellishment. And yet another idea of how to get a diagonal design. This is using a cut file from Paige Evans. And so it creates stitching holes of all of these beautiful butterflies. And then I hand stitched with a chain stitch all of these gorgeous butterflies for the background, and I love this one. This is definitely one of my favorites. I then fussy cut out some of these butterflies from a Simple Stories I Am paper, and then just kind of trickled them around for a little bit of fun and dimension. And even though this one is extremely simple, there's a whole lot of time and effort put into the background, and I think that really helps to make it feel special. Now for our last layout here, I did another stitching layout, but this one was not using a cut file. This one was using some templates. I have some quilting templates in the shape of a star and a heart, and so I've used those to outline some shapes in a diagonal design and then hand stitched them. But this time I filled in the center by using the smaller templates to map out some shapes and pattern papers, and filled in all of the insides of the hearts as well. This time too, putting my photo large 4x6 right directly on top and not trying to incorporate it into the design at all. It is simply a top layer of the design. And I really enjoy this design because it just feels like it flows. You can feel the top to bottom flow of the layout. It has a lot of movement to it, has a lot of opportunity to add these little sprinkly bits. These are actually mixed media stenciled butterflies in the background, and I did that before I stitched, and really love how that came out. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to put them in the comment box below. And don't forget that next Saturday and for the next few weeks on Saturdays, we will have more go-to designs with lots of examples and ideas of how to switch them up so that you can vary your creations a little bit and not get bored. That's it for this one, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Until next time, bye.